Have you experienced a failure? Or maybe you've experienced multiple failures and that's really knocked you back. It's really affected your confidence. If so, then I've made a video for you. So in this video, I just want to talk about the topic of failure and how failing isn't a bad thing and it's not as bad as you're making it out to be. And I just want to share some tips, some tricks, some perspectives, some things which have really helped me when it comes to my own failures, and also some things I do with my clients to help them move forward from failure, to hopefully help you just get out of this rut you're in, get out of this state of letting failure hold you back. Because the truth is, just because you failed at something does not make you a failure. You know, you've had this event happen in your life, sure, like we all fail, but you don't want to wrap your identity around this event and just label yourself as a failure, because that's not the case. Just because you've lost does not mean that you are defeated. The truth is, with failure or failing, or because you failed at something, it's not the actual thing which is bad or negative. It's your perception, your perspective of that event, of that thing happening to you, which is what is causing you to feel this way and let yourself get knocked back by it. Because the thing is, you know, there's a quote where it's like the same boiling water can soften the potato or harden the egg. And the thing I really want to talk about, I'm just going to share and go through a few things. The thing is with failure is there's things called cycles. And so kind of looks like this. And we have cycles all throughout life in different areas of life. And so in a 24-hour period, we have day and night cycles. We have sunrise and sunset. And there's predictability in these cycles. When the sun sets, we know in a certain amount of time that the sun's going to rise again. And we also have like seasons. So we have winter, and then we have spring, we have summer, and then summer ends and it goes into autumn and back into winter again. And there's some predictability with that. There's all these different types of cycles throughout life in your life. And the truth is, you sometimes succeed, and sometimes you're going to fail. And then that's going to happen again. That's just life. You know, failure and success, they're two sides of the same coin. And yes, the first thing I want to talk about is, yes, you are a failure. You failed at things. I'm a failure. I failed at heaps of shit. But I'm also a success. I'm also someone who's achieved a lot of things as well. And I'm both. And you're both. You're not just a failure. And the thing is, there's probably just one really big thing in your mind which you perceive you failed at, and you're wrapping your identity around that. And you're probably overlooking all the things you've succeeded at, all the things you do really well. And what you may be doing is you may be comparing your failures to other people's successes. And there's a quote by Einstein, and he says that if you're a cat or a monkey or something like that, and you're really good at climbing trees, but you judge yourself and your ability to swim like a fish, you're going to go throughout your whole life thinking you're stupid. And the reason why you may be judging yourself and really beating yourself down is because maybe you're just comparing your ability. You're a success at certain things. You're really good at certain things which we're overlooking. And maybe that's the equivalent of like a fish being really good to breathe underwater and swim. And so if you're really, like, say you're a fish and you're judging yourself because you're seeing all these cats and monkeys and they're climbing trees and you think you should be doing that, well, of course you're going to feel like a failure because you're comparing yourself to other people, and the things which you're not so good at, you think you should be like them. And you're not honoring your own unique gifts and talents in the areas where you're a success. Because these people you're probably comparing yourself against, they also suck at other things too. You're just overlooking that. So I guess the first thing is understanding that, firstly, just because you failed at something does not mean that you're a failure and that's it. It's very black and white thinking. Sometimes you fail, but also you're a success too. And you will go throughout your whole life. And it's just embracing that. There's two sides to everything. And, I'm sure you've probably seen this symbol, but there's something called Yin Yang, right? And so, with this symbol, there's two sides to everything, right? And so this is leading me into the next thing. And so there's success and failure. They're like two sides to the same coin, right? But also with yin and yang, let's say the red is failure and the white is success. In every failure, there is also success. And in every success, there is also failure. I'm sure you're probably familiar with the idea of yin and yang, that there's good and bad, there's positive and negative, but there is positive and negative in everything in life. The truth is, nothing is good or bad, but thinking makes it so. I think that's a quote by Shakespeare. It's not, everything is neutral, but it's just our perspective of things. We can label it as good or we can label it as bad. And typically in this society, we label success as like a positive thing, and we label failure as a negative thing. The truth is, the thing I found with my failures is there's reasons why I fail, or those things I label as failures. And typically, I fail at things which aren't that important to me. There's certain things I'm doing and I fail because really, deep down, it's just not really what I want to do. And sometimes it's like an unconscious thing where I'm failing on purpose to stop me from doing that thing I'm doing, that thing which is leading me off the wrong path. And the failures is getting me back on track again. It's getting me back on track with what I actually want to do with my life. And sometimes when I succeed at certain things and I feel really good and proud and cocky, sometimes that can be super distracting and I can keep going down this path, the wrong path, the path I don't really want to go down. And the successes keeps me stuck in something I really don't want to do with my life. I just get distracted by the short-term pleasure. It feels good in the moment. And so, people in society, it's just like, I don't want to be a failure and I want to be a success, but it's very narrow thinking. And the thing is, if I draw like a chart here, and let's say this is you, and let's say this is the present moment. This is the present moment here and now, you watching the video. And you've got positive and negative, right? And this arrow here represents the past. My handwriting's not good because I'm writing sideways. This is the past. With your perspective, the reason why the failure hurts so much is because in the past, there's probably some things which have happened to you, or things maybe you've done, which you're labeling as negative. Maybe this is where you lost a load of money. Or maybe at this time you were expecting to get a certain result and you didn't. And maybe back here you had a really painful event, a really painful failure in your perception. And maybe you had a divorce, had a breakup or something like that. And you failed in terms of the relationship. I don't know. But basically, with you in this present moment, the reason why maybe you have a fear of failure is because there's all these events in your past which are perceived to be negative. And what I do with my clients is, one thing is I use this principle because one thing I found is I say, look, there's two sides to every coin. And yes, these things are negative. You perceive them more negative than positive, but there are benefits. There are some blessings in these events which you can't see. And a common thing they say is, I know that. Yeah, I know that there's good and bad in everything. But the thing is, they intellectually understand that. And you may intellectually understand that watching this video. But the thing is, here's a test. Whatever failures have happened to you in your life, if you can't say thank you for those events, if you can't say thank you for those failures, if you don't have gratitude for them, a true gratitude, and you would not change a thing, I would not change a thing. I'm just content and grateful that this happened, and I wouldn't have wished it to happen any other way. If you can't say that, then basically you perceive them to be more negative than positive. And just because you understand this principle of like yin and yang, there's good and bad and everything, there's intellectually understanding that, you know, there's good and bad in the failures, or there's actually a deeper level, which is embodying that, yes, I can actually see in these unique events, in these situations, yes, there was negatives, there was a lot of pain, but also there were some positives too, there were benefits, this served me, and there's some pleasures here too. And so if there's some failures in your life and that has really knocked your confidence, one thing I'd invite you to do is actually look for the benefits, for the positives. Look for how that actually served you and actually made life better, rather than just focusing on what you've always been focusing on, which is, this was a bad thing that happened to me, there's lots of pain here, and it's made my life worse. Look for the other side of the coin and actually look for it. So what I do with my clients is I'll just basically ask them a simple question. What are the benefits? So let's just say if you've sort of had a breakup. Well, what was the benefits of that? What did you learn? What did that mean for you? What did that mean for your life? And, you know, I had a call with a person recently who had a breakup, and, well, it was actually a divorce, and they perceived like, I've not really failed at anything in my life, but this divorce is a huge failure in my perception. And this is all I basically did. I basically just said, well, what are the benefits of that? What does that mean for you now? What does that mean you can start doing with your life? And they were like basically saying, well, when I was in a relationship, I was sort of sacrificing myself, and I wasn't really working out, and I was sort of comfort eating and just hanging around with this individual, my partner, my spouse, and I couldn't really do the things I wanted to do. So what is the benefit of this divorce then? Well, I've noticed that I'm prioritizing myself more. I'm actually going to the gym more. I'm focusing on eating clean again. I don't have those distractions of getting comfortable and eating junk food. I'm actually now focusing on my goals and dreams a lot more, and now I'm actually making a lot of progress. And so the quality of your life is determined on the quality of the questions you ask. And so in your failures, if you just look for the other side of the coin, which is there, you can't perceive something without having a contrast of it, meaning you can't perceive this to be bad or negative without also having a contrast of good. You know, you don't know what hot is without having a contrast of comparing it to something which is cold. And so in order for you to perceive these things as negative, that means that you're also, you've also become aware, your perception is taken in the opposite too, positives. The thing is, you're just unconscious to it. There's something called conscious and unconscious. And so if you just basically start stacking up the benefits, what are the benefits? What are the benefits? What are the positives? Looking for the other side and start stacking it up. If you can neutralize it, where basically the negatives in your mind now are equal to all these positives you come up with, and you neutralize it, that sting, that pain is going to be gone. And then that's when you're going to have a lot more gratitude and love and appreciation for these things, because you're going to realize that it's helped you become who you are today. It's helped put you on a certain path. Maybe you've learned all these different things which you weren't aware of before. You know, like when I've basically had a failure with my coaching, I was making a website and I basically didn't get any clients. The benefit of that is it made me realize that there was certain information I was lacking, and I just sort of went into it without a game plan. And so by basically seeing, well, this event, it's made me reevaluate how I attack certain things in the future. Rather than just jumping in and winging it, it's actually trying to come up with a game plan, seek out mentorship, actually learn how they do it and what are the best things to do in order to create a website and to get clients and things like that. It just basically humbled me and made me just think more logically and rationally rather than just trying to wing life and wing my goals. It's being a lot more strategic. And so with this is just a powerful exercise. It's just looking for the benefits to help you neutralize those things. Because a common thing I found is a lot of people have a fear of failing. And you can't have a fear of failure without content in your mind of you having experienced failures in the past. And you want to avoid failure because anything we perceive as negative, we want to avoid. And so if you perceive failure as a negative thing and you have a fear around that, meaning I don't want to do this thing, I don't want to put myself out there because I'm scared of failing because you perceive failure as a bad thing, well, of course you're not going to go after it because we don't want negative things to happen to us in our perception. We want to avoid pain, but also we want to seek pleasure. If you saw failing not as a negative thing, but as a positive thing, you would want to fail as much as possible because you're like, yes, I'm going to get this, I'm going to get this, it's going to help me with this, it's going to make sure this happens for me and I'm going to have these opportunities open up because of this. If you saw failure as a positive thing, you're going to try and seek it, not avoid it. And so the thing is if you maybe have a fear of failing, this exercise is fantastic because you're actually going to change these negative events where you failed and you're actually not going to see them as negative things which you want to avoid anymore. They're just neutral. They're not negative or positive. They're just both. They're just events. And yes, there was pain, but also there's pleasure. Yes, you had a setback, but also it set you up for certain things in the future too. And so if you do that with all these really big events in your life which you perceive as failures, setbacks, and you associate positives with it, and you just use the principle of yin and yang, failure isn't going to be a bad thing. And failure isn't going to be something you're fearing and something you want to avoid. It's something you're going to want to embrace. And when it comes to failure as well, is if you start associating the positives in terms of all the benefits of those things you failed at, but also, like I said at the start of the video, look for where you're actually a success too, all the things you're good at, and all those times you've succeeded, and you start changing how you view yourself and how you viewed your failures, you're going to notice you're going to have a surge of confidence again and enthusiasm. And you're going to start feeling more inspired again. And you're not going to be so scared about attacking those things which you want to do, but you've just had fear around because you don't want to fail. And this is going to give you an incredible shift in your mindset to get yourself back out there again, get back up on that horse and go for it. And the last thing I want to talk about in this video is there's an amazing book. It's just come to my mind. It's called Mindset. It's by Carol Dweck. I would highly recommend if you struggle with failure and this is something which has really affected you and affecting your ability to go after your goals and dreams, I'd highly recommend you read this book because what she talks about in this book is something called a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. And with people who have like a fixed mindset, it's when they're fixated on a result. And if you're fixated on a result in terms of succeeding, if you really want to succeed, then the degree to which you want to succeed, the more you want to succeed, then the opposite is going to be true for you too. Meaning, if you really want to succeed, what that means is you're going to really want to try and avoid failure. And so when I speak to people with fears of failing, it's because they are so attached to succeeding. They're so fixated on succeeding. And sometimes that fixation on that, having a fixed mindset on the result, that can be the very thing which is holding them back. And so Carol Dweck talks about the fixed mindset versus the growth mindset. And basically what she found out is people who have a growth mindset, which is not so much being attached to the fear and of failing and the fantasies of succeeding and just trying to be a success and be perfect. The growth mindset, they don't really take this into account. They just focus on the thing they're doing and they just want to get better at it. They don't care about the result, it's just the actions. They just care about getting better and better and better and learning and growing and developing. And so basically the final thing I really want to talk about in this video is, if you want to overcome your failures and not be so wound up in this thought of failing, then stop worrying so much about trying to succeed and trying to get a certain result. Shift your mindset from being fixated on getting a result, getting an outcome, and shift it to being more of a growth mindset, which is just focusing on the actions and just focusing on getting better at your craft, getting better at the thing you want to do, and just sharpening your saw, as Stephen Covey says in his book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Just sharpen it up and get better at your skills, develop yourself, learn. And the thing as well is, if you adopt this mindset and you just want to grow and be better, you're going to lean into failure. Because the thing is, when I've succeeded and when I've worked with clients and they've looked at their successes, as I said before, it can be quite distracting and it can pull them off mission. But also, you don't really learn and grow much there. I found the most growth, the most insightful moments of my life have been inside the lowest moments of my failures, basically the setbacks. That's where I was missing key information, key skills, key resources, key knowledge and insights and information. And by going through these lows, these failures, these setbacks, that's where I gained an incredible amount of wisdom to help me with going forward, moving forward, and breaking through to that next level I wanted to get to in life. So sometimes in your failures, there's an incredible amount of wisdom which is going to help you unlock that next level and help you grow and develop. And so that book is really great to help you with embracing failure. It's not something to shy away from and try and avoid, because when you've got a fixed mindset and you want the success, then of course you're going to fear the failure, and that's going to really affect how you show up. But if it's, I just want to get better, then you're going to just try and lean into failure as much as possible. I want to fail as many times as possible and get feedback, because every time I fail and I get that feedback, it's making me better, it's helping me grow, it's helping me develop. And the more you develop, the better you are, the more likely you are to achieve, to get the things you want anyway. It's less so on the result, and it's more so about who you've got to become in order to get the result. So I'd highly recommend that book. And that's it. That's it for now. I know I've kind of gone all over the place, but hopefully there's been a thing or two which you found useful in this video. But let's say if you've tried to do these things, and maybe you've tried to do this and you can't get anywhere, and nothing's really working for you, and you would like some help with, either if you've experienced some failures in your past and you want some help with changing your mindset around it and getting out your own way, and you would like some assistance in terms of coaching, then I've got a coaching waitlist. I've got a link in the description of this video. Put your details in there, and when I have coaching spots available, I'll reach out to you. Maybe we can have a chat and see if we're a fit to work together and that I can help you. And so that's maybe if you've experienced some things in your past, and or you've got a fear of failing, and that's the biggest thing which is holding you back from living the life you want. So just consider putting your name down on my waitlist. But if you like this video, then hit the like button. Hit the like button. It really helps me out. And if you want to see more videos like this to help you get out your own way and live life on your terms, then consider hitting the subscribe button. So that just makes sure that when I release future videos, you're not going to miss out. Before I finish up and wrap up this video, I would love to know, what did you find most useful about this video? What was most insightful for you? Whatever that was, I'd love to hear it. So leave a comment below. If you've gotten this far, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And this video was a waffly one. But I hope a thing or two here has been valuable for you. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.